The internet's a cleaner, more homogenous place than ever. Massive corporations own all the most used websites out there and ensure that their family-friendly, consumer-ready ethics are all at the forefront. You can still find off-putting oddball stuff, but it's hidden away in different corners. You're not going to find a lot of this stuff on Facebook or Instagram, it's just not suited for those platforms. The old days of unexplainable forum posts and personal websites detailing whatever abnormal obsession folks had are but a distant memory. But there still is some scary stuff out there if you know where to look. Hello horror heads and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we'll be counting down the top 5 scary websites you should never visit. I'll say this up front, we're not going to talk gore websites today, okay? Nothing here that'll cause massive secondary trauma, although some of the topics we discuss may be disturbing to some. I just don't want to put that kind of energy out into the world. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more wicked web pages. Perfect, let's begin. Coming in at number 5, we've got Caver. I have a very clear memory of first coming across this page. It leaves such a wild impression, it's hard to explain. Most of this Angelfire site consists of text on a black background, which really doesn't sound too creepy, but can be really off-putting if you're reading through it in the dead of night. The website is a blog written by Ted, detailing his caving experience back in the early 2000s. Caving is another word for spelunking or potholing, depending on where you come from, which is the recreational pastime of exploring wild cave systems. Usually this means heading to a remote location and squeezing your way into pitch black passages and wriggling your way through unfamiliar territory. I don't know if I get it. So apparently Ted and his buddies found a new entrance to a cave network and wanted to find a way in. The things cavers do for a thrill, I will never understand. The stories Ted tells are terrifying, as most of this seems pretty dangerous and reckless, and if you've got claustrophobia, this story will just about make you implode. He details his attempts to crawl through a bunch of passages barely wide enough for a human body with no guarantee that there's another side to pop out on. At points he's completely immobile, save for a bit of room to move his hands or feet. Why? His text-based tale is accompanied by some early digital images which look about as pleasant as being stuffed into the trunk of a small car. There's one of just his head, and that's all you can see is his head. And the rest of him is crammed into a tunnel, and I can honestly say I get chills every time I look at it. Eventually, Ted comes across some hieroglyphics of sorts, which is weird because supposedly nobody had accessed this cave system before, and he promises to explore further and update the readers as he discovers more. However, after promising more and leaving readers on a bit of a cliffhanger, Ted mysteriously stopped uploading. The last post was made in May of 2001, and he hasn't been heard from since. And because these posts were made in an era where the internet was a little more anonymous, it's unlikely that Ted will be tracked down. Did he find himself in an inescapable position? Did he discover something he'd maybe rather forget? Or maybe he found himself between a rock and a hard place? Coming in at number 4, we've got the simulation argument. Do you ever feel like the world we live in doesn't quite work the way it's supposed to? Notice any cracks in the facade? Maybe a pair of twins that look too similar? Or a woman in a red dress who just keeps walking by? If you've ever thought that we might be living in a simulation, then this is the site for you. And if you think it's totally crazy, the time and effort people put into finding plausible evidence might cause you to reconsider that position a little bit. The simulation argument is a website that compiles all sorts of academic research papers, theories, and data pointing towards the fact that we're all living in a simulation. It's constantly updated with new information and analysis with all sorts of different views on the subject. Sure, it might seem a little far-fetched, but it's just another way to look at the world, right? And if you look long enough and find yourself making similar conclusions as the person running the site, where do you go from there? If the whole world is a lie, how do you continue living your life? Are your choices different now? Do you try to break free? Can humans evolve past our current state? I'm not going to tell you how to think about this hypothesis, but I will encourage you to give it a good old-fashioned think and see where you land. Maybe you'll come out the other side knowing Kung Fu. Driving in at number 3, we've got The Fifth Nail. Everyone has the ability to put their thoughts and opinions on the internet these days. No matter who you are, where you're from, you can let the world know exactly what you're thinking about. This has led to a whole lot of discussion and disagreements, especially between people with views that are at odds with each other. Sometimes this can be a good thing, as it can get many people out of their comfort zones and learning new perspectives, and other times it can be downright disturbing, especially if you're reading the rantings of a serial killer. The Fifth Nail is a blog run by Joseph E. Duncan III, who committed his first crime at the age of 15. The crime? He sexually assaulted a 9-year-old boy at gunpoint. Following this, he attacked and killed multiple other young children. In 2005, before he was a convicted murderer, Duncan began writing blog posts. He would rant and rave while painting himself as a deep thinker with a rational explanation for everything he's ever done. None of this will matter in 100 years. I feel the pain of people I've hurt. I'm not a psychopath. I follow the path of God. I will be righteous. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but that's the impression I get when I read these early posts. In relation to religion, the fifth nail is actually a biblical reference to one of the nails meant to be used in the crucifixion of Christ. Does this serial killer rapist see himself as a Christ-like figure, as someone unfairly treated? Yikes. He also has problems with the prison industrial system and makes many arguments that add up to an eye for an eye and makes the whole world blind. These are legitimate arguments, but are also weakened when coming from a depraved individual like Duncan. He's on death row now and apparently still posting. The last entry went up in January and was him talking about Thanksgiving on death row. It seems that he's dictating from prison and having somebody else upload for him. The more you read, the more you see that his criminal mind has an answer for every misdeed, an explanation for every wrongdoing. It goes to show that folks can come up with anything to enable their own awful actions. Coming in at number 2, we've got the Dionea House. What begins as two friends exchanging correspondence in response to some upsetting news quickly devolves into an insane, twisty-turny, eldritch horror story about a house that may or may not exist. It's pretty cool. This collection of blogs and emails and other assorted posts was uploaded by Eric Heiserer, well known for writing the screenplays for the modern Nightmare on Elm Street and The Thing. At one point, there was an actual website where updates would be posted, but now you've got to go and find an archive to get the full experience. The tale is well worth the read though, with an assortment of truly haunting twists and turns. Reading it now, it feels just as real as it did back then. This is an example of how a creepypasta can go above and beyond, both in terms of content and structure. All sorts of extra details are embedded throughout, and they take you to different websites, news clippings, blog posts, and more. It's immersive and spine-tingling. In fact, if I didn't know any better, I'd think these events might have actually happened. The name of the house is a little on the nose though. Look it up. It's quite clever. And finally, swooping in at number 1, we've got White Enamel. Speaking of immersive experiences, White Enamel puts you in the shoes of someone exploring an abandoned hospital in the best possible way. Or worse, depending on how scared you get. The site is a sprawling point-and-click adventure taking you through the Glenfield State Psychiatric Hospital. While that might sound sort of dry, it is anything but. The experience is chock full of creepy archival footage, disturbing and disquieting sounds, and songs from the area in which the hospital operated. The whole thing feels sort of like I Spy on PC, but way creepier. And it's browser-based. There are 6 episodes to play through, taking you through various wings of the institution and providing you with information related to its storied history. I don't want to tell you too much, because it's something best experienced blind. However, it only works on desktop computers, so make sure you head in prepared. So, what did you think? Have you visited any of these websites before? Will you be taking a peek in the near future? Are there any I neglected to mention? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a quick look at some of the more gregarious ones from the top 5 scary horror movie plots that almost became reality. Jiro-sama says, everyone wants to become a vampire. Actually, we already are a vampire, staying at home because of the lockdown. Get it? Get it? Makes sense. I'm getting paler by the day, never seeing the sun, avoiding garlic because I don't want to smell my own breath while cooped up in the house. I just haven't started drinking blood yet. Maybe that'll come soon. Mike Vasquez says, people who fantasize about what they would do if they could legally do whatever they wanted, the purge model, often forget that the people around them would legally do anything they wanted to them as well. Yeah, I see a lot of folks just thinking they'll be able to run free, you know? But you gotta earn that freedom through either brute force or brain power. Not a free ride. Frayed Logic says, I think we've all tried to make scanners happen at some point in our lives. Honestly, my life would be so much easier with telekinetic abilities. Just self-filming, I could do it all. Just turn on camera, turn it off, focus. So easy. Arlem525 says, also, one of the extras in the medical scenes in The Exorcist was an actual convicted murderer and suspected serial murderer. I didn't know that. Do you think horror movies attract extras with a little more crime under their belt? And Han says, love your new hairstyle, Keegan. Thank you. But I don't know if I'd call it a hairstyle. It's more like I just can't get a haircut while I'm quarantined. And that's all the time we have for today. Before I look behind me in Ghost Girl's alleyway, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more online escapades. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.